I was muzzled. They told me to shut up, to be blunt.
It's a 3D design thing, so any object, anything that's 3D, which is everything, of course, in the real world, can be designed using the software. And there's such a wide range now. We have such a wide range of customers doing little objects like earrings and jewelry to cars and boats.
Somebody calls you and their house is on fire, if you can go and get it out before they lose all their pictures and mementos and whatnot. That's what people lose in a fire. It's not the house, it's not the building, it's what they lose in it.
The little bits of their life.
Little bits of their life, that's right.
Good evening and welcome to Behind the News. I'm Jennifer Reed. Tonight, we'll take you to a computer graphics company that caught the eye of Prince Charles during his Toronto visit. Also, a discussion with Jack Very, who after more than 2 decades has retired as chief of the Port Stanley Fire Department. But first, the province's chief medical officer of health has just announced that smoking kills more than 13,000 people a year in Ontario. Dr. Richard Chabas calls tobacco use the most important public health problem facing this province. Jim Semchism is one Londoner who agrees. He became the first pharmacist in London to ban the sale of tobacco products in his store.
You won't find cigarettes in this London pharmacy anymore. Its owner, Jim Semchism, has decided to put his ethics before business. He stopped selling tobacco products because he says pharmacies should promote health, not destroy it.
I've taken the stand that I don't think tobacco has a role in a drugstore.
Next to prescriptions, Semchism says tobacco products were the #1 revenue maker, ahead of cough and cold medicines and beauty products. Tobacco products represented $100,000 in sales annually, $15,000 in profit. He agrees that it hurts without them.
Well, certainly it does, and that was, perhaps one of the reasons why it's taken me 2 or 3 years to rationalize in my own mind, whether I could take this stand. And I feel that it's the most appropriate thing for me to do, and that's why I've done it.
Semchism would like to see more pharmacists clear tobacco products off the shelf, but some say it won't work. Not because they're worried about losing money on tobacco sales, but because they may lose customers who buy all the other products and just happen to smoke.
I hate smokers and I hate cigarette smoking, but nevertheless we do sell cigarettes.
Why?
Because again, it's part of the service image of pharmacy. Because the person who's not going to won't be able to buy his cigarettes at the pharmacy, will just go down to the local variety store and buy them there.
Even if more pharmacists take tobacco products off the shelves, there is one pharmacy that isn't likely to join the bandwagon.
It's Shoppers Drug Mart, and it has to do with what economists call vertical integration. Shoppers, Canada's largest pharmacy chain, is owned by a holding company called Amasco. Amasco also owns Imperial Tobacco. So while pharmacists like Jim Semchism have the luxury of deciding between ethics and economics, pharmacists here are more or less handcuffed because of the intimate relationship between Shoppers and Imperial Tobacco.
Ealing Pharmacy is doing very nicely without tobacco. The percentage of Canadians who smoke has continued to decline. The only area in which cigarette use is rising is among young women. Roughly 1 Canadian in 3 now smokes. It is still a major source of profit for stores that sell tobacco products, but Jim says kicking the habit wasn't as tough as he expected.
The downside I didn't see. And I'm being as honest and frank as I can on this issue because my colleagues who are in business really have serious doubts that I wasn't going to suffer a big loss on this. And I've shown them my prescription counts and some of my financial data that's backed up the fact that there really aren't a lot of negatives to removing the product. Now, it was big dollars for me, and I knew that when I started. Like, we were selling over $100,000 in tobacco a year, which represents about $15,000 bottom line profit.
7 other independent pharmacies in London and Lambeth have followed Jim Semchism's example and removed tobacco from their shelves. Only one of them admits that the financial hurt was more than expected. Semchism thinks it will take more than moral suasion to change the numbers, particularly among corporately owned or franchise stores, whose pharmacists say they aren't free to act on their own.
I'm glad a lot of them have been honest with me, and even amongst their corporate chain, some of them have stuck their neck out and said, hey guys, this doesn't look good on me as a pharmacist or you as the owner of this corporate group that we're selling this product. And to date, they haven't made any inroads in removing it, but I know a lot of them have spoken up. And to them, it means big dollars.
Sure.
Because my business was selling like $100,000 worth of tobacco. I've been called up locally by people around here, and some of those stores sell over $1 million worth of tobacco. So that's like $100,000.
That may change. The College of Pharmacy wants to get tobacco out of drugstores.
In June, our licensing body, or the college, took the decision after researching it for a full year. They sent out a panel to hear from everybody in the profession and to hear from other concerned groups. And they came up with about a 5 or 6 page document stating how they'd like Ontario to put in force legislation to prevent stores from selling tobacco. And I was very pleased with the outcome of that, and I was also pleased that the college supported the decision of the research group. It was a close vote, mind you, but at least the profession has attempted to remove the product by 1993, and that was the deadline that they'd set.
But even as its president, Jim couldn't get the Ontario Pharmacists Association to be that tough on tobacco. It decided that removal would be only voluntary.
But that decision is predicated on the fact that a lot of our members are corporate pharmacists. And corporate pharmacy plays a big role in the politics at OPA. There's no question about it, because when I was in the chair of president and I made statements to the press, to the media at our annual convention about how much I wanted to get tobacco out of pharmacy, I was muzzled. They told me to shut up, to be blunt.
Jim Semchism says that a cynic could argue that tobacco has been very good for pharmacy.
It clearly shortens people's lives and increases morbidity or suffering. And we see it every day in the dispensary. My gosh, we wouldn't be dispensing half of the medications we were today if we had a generation of smokers, non-smokers, you know, back 10 or 15 years ago. Because we have it in hypertension, we've got it in cardiac disease, we have it in diabetes, we have it right across the board. All the common disease states are affected by tobacco, and it's, you know, it is clearly making a mess of people's lives, or has made a mess of people's lives, because they see the results of what smoking has done to the population here.
As Jim mentioned, the College of Pharmacy, which is the licensing body for drugstores, has recommended a deadline of June '93 for the removal of tobacco products from shelves. It will be up to the provincial government to give the college the power to enforce